He said to them, "This is what I told you while I was still with you. Everything must be fulfilled that is written about me in the law of Moses, the prophets, and the Psalms." Then he opened their minds so they could understand the scriptures. He told them, "This is what is written. The Messiah will suffer and rise from the dead on the third day, and repentance for the forgiveness of sins will be preached in his name to all nations, beginning in Jerusalem. You are witnesses of these things. I am going to send you what my Father has promised. But stay in the city until you have been clothed with power from on high." I was chatting with a friend of mine the other day. He's a good friend of mine. He's not a Christian, and he's not sure whether or not he believes in God, but he's absolutely consumed with the thoughts of Christianity and spirituality because he's very concerned with certain issues in the world and how they all fit together. One of the things that bothers him the most is that some people are so unimaginably wealthy that their wealth is literally estimated because the number is so high it's not tangible, while others are so dirt poor that they don't have a single rand to their name. You can't understand why we can't just all get along and look out for each other. Why do some people think their rights are more important than the rights of others? How is this a world created by a loving and powerful God? The thing is, whenever he describes God to me and why he has such a hard time believing in God, I agree with him. I have a hard time believing in that God too. A God who kind of looks down at his mortal creations and sits back while we pillage and destroy each other. A God who is distant. A God who is separate. This God is a pagan God. This God is a God who does not exist in Jesus. In Jesus, God embodied flesh and blood, becoming one of us. In Jesus, God tore apart the shroud of human perception and said, "This is who I am. I am not separate. I am with and among you everywhere you go. I grieve when you grieve. I laugh when you laugh. I cry when you cry. And when you are sick or injured or in need in any way, I will make it right." When we say that Jesus ascended into heaven, it's important to mention that the tradition at the time when talking about heaven was essentially returning the world back to the Garden of Eden state, a world of perfection and intimate relationship with God. When we say Jesus ascended into heaven, we are acknowledging the fulfillment of a promise from God. The promise of a restored universe through partnership with Him. God is not separate. God is here in Jesus. And through Jesus, God is mending the universe.